Hello and welcome back once more to Dephemerember 25. Today we are on prompt number 9, which is altered envelope and coffee mug stains. Now the Dephemerember challenge, excuse me, is run by Louisa Heinzel and Barbara at 49 Dragonflies. Their channels are linked in all my Dephemerember videos, so do check them out as well. And also I encourage you, put in the hashtag Dephemerember and have a look at some of the other channels that are playing along with this challenge, because there's some really cool ideas out there. Anyway, today, altered envelope. I wasn't sure what that was, to be honest. And so I did a little bit of research online, and it appears to be a kind of a generic definition for any envelope which has been altered or changed up in some way to become something different in a junk journal. So it could be a flip out, it could be a pocket, it could be a tuck spot, it could be a page in the journal. It seems to cover a wide range of things. So, which leaves the prompt quite open to interpretation, which may well have been Barbara and Louisa's intention. So, as you can guess, I'm going to be doing something with envelopes and napkins today, or serviettes, depending where you are in the world, what you call them. And as you will see, I have just taken the patterned layer off that napkin. Now these are not expensive ones, so they only have the 2 layers, they're just 2 ply. And I have this gorgeous kind of butterfly floral text to play with. Now I have like a business envelope here, and it's actually stuck down, and for this purpose that's okay. I'm going to be doing something with it later on, so that's fine. But first off, let's change this up a bit. It looks fairly boring as it is, doesn't it? So I'm just having a quick look, because what I have realised is that some of the butterflies on here are a bit big compared to my envelope. So I think we'll work with this top corner here. Right, I've got a big piece of acetate on my desk to do this. You can use anything, a bit of plastic packaging, you know, cereal box liners, anything you like. And I'm using Mod Podge. You can also use matte gel medium, you can also use watered down PVA glue. You know, just mix it with a little bit of water to make it a bit thinner. They all work the same. Now, I'm going to go around here. Ooh, and what I'm going to do is to just, I say just, you want to get this right first time, believe me. I'm going to pop that napkin over the top and just gently push it down to make sure that it's all stuck. Now you'll notice I didn't put glue over the window, and there's a good reason for that. So I'm just turning this over, and I'm being careful not to put it in the glue that's on my acetate, and I'm going to do exactly the same on the back. And I'm going to fold this over. Now you can do this in 2 separate pieces. I'm just going to move that acetate actually, because I don't want to get glue everywhere. You can do this in 2 separate pieces if you want to. I find it just as easy. Fold it over, gently press it down. I don't know whether you can see on camera, but I can hold this up to the light and I can feel and see where my envelope is. So, taking my scissors, now the next thing I'm going to do is I can feel where the window is. Just about. Some of them are easier than others. I can feel that the window is there. Trying to find the edge. Ah, it's there. Okay. Now I've got my water pen. And what I'm doing is just feeling my way around, and I'm going around the inside edge of the window to make it wet. You see, I've drawn around the inside edge where that window is. And then what I'm going to do very gently is just tear that piece of napkin out. There we go. Oh, it goes quite a bit further that way, so it can take a bit more from there. It's better to take too little than too much. So if you have to do it in a couple of stages like this, that's better than taking too much at once. Now for me, I'm not worried about getting a perfect edge here, because what I'm going to do next is, with my Mod Podge again, I'm going to coat the whole of the front of this envelope. And what this is doing is strengthening and protecting the napkin. And what I'm then going to do when I get to the window is I'm going to, just with my brush, can you see I'm pushing those bits back. I haven't got much on that side, but that's okay. I'm just pushing those bits back to where the window starts, and that just gives it a little bit of a more of a sort of a grungy look, really. Now I'm going to take a cloth which has got a little bit of water on, and I'm just going to wipe some of that Mod Podge off the window. There we go. Now obviously you need to be careful, and the serviette is quite delicate at this stage. And what I'm going to do is to turn it over and do the other side. Now you can leave it so that the first side dries, or actually if your envelope is open it's much easier to do because you can put your hand inside it. Again, you're just wanting to give that, probably is easier if you let it dry first. But there you go. Okay, so that's both sides coated. Right, I'm going to just pop that to dry. Right, whilst that one's drying, I'm going to do another one. Now you might recognise this. This was a spare envelope I made when we did the, I think it was journaling cards and tiny letters. Anyway, this was an envelope I made and didn't use. So I'm going to do this one in exactly the same way. Well, not in exactly the same way. That's the whole point. Sorry, I'm just looking for something. Here we go. I wanted another serviette. What you will see is this one hasn't been stuck together. And even bought envelopes you can often manage to open out like this by sort of loosening the glue with a bit of steam. And I have another napkin here, which, oh yeah, there is a piece that's big enough. So this is the outside of my envelope. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing. This has already been separated out. I'm going to coat the whole thing in Mod Podge and pop that on. Now this hasn't got a window, so we're not going to be needing to worry about the window on this one. But as I'd made the envelope, I thought it would be good to use it. Here we go. Ooh. This is a bit messy, and you do get gluey fingers. Alright, let's pop that on. So if you're making your own envelopes, it probably is easier to do this before you stick them together. Alright, so I'm just going to trim off the excess. I'm not going to go too close to the edges. If you can hear a weird noise in the background, it's extremely hot here today, and my little craft room is on the second floor, and on the roof next to my window is our solar water heater. And it's that hot today that the release valve is blowing. It means the water in there is really, really hot, and it's just letting off some excess water. So if you can hear a weird noise in the background and some dripping, that's what it is. Alright, so as you can see, I'm just going over the edges again. Oh, sorry, over the front of the napkin again. There we go. And we'll pop that to dry. Alright, I have wiped off my acetate here, and in true Blue Peter fashion, here's one I made earlier. Sorry, UK viewers will get that reference. So this is the same size as that first one I've just done. And you'll see what I mean about the edges of the window here. And what I've done with this one is that I have inked the edges of the envelope and the edges of the window. You'll see this one is an opening one. And the other thing that I have done is to cut, oh, sorry, let me just wipe my fingers because they're really gluey. That's better. In here I have cut a piece of scrapbooking card, and it was a plain white back, so I've just used my ink pad on the back to add some colour and some interest, and then that slides in, makes a little insert, and you can see the scrapbook paper here in the window. Now this you'll see is a different one, it's bigger, and I've not yet made an insert. This was a used envelope that came in the mail, and so we haven't got the flap on this one, and the inside is quite a garish blue, so I do want to do something with that in terms of lining it. So that's our first stage for our altered envelopes, and what we need to do now is to think about how we're going to decorate them or alter them to go into our journal. All right, so what I've done, I've been through the box that was of bits and pieces that was sent to me by my swap partner, which is Gajana from Diary of a Creative Therapist. And I've pulled out a whole load of lovely bits and pieces that she sent in the box, and I'm thinking about using some of those on my altered envelopes. But before I start decorating, I want to think about the second part of today's prompt, which is coffee mug stains. Now, I've got lots of nice coffee dyed paper, and some of it has got some great kind of coffee stains on. And I might well use a piece of this to line the inside of this envelope. But coffee mug stains to me is maybe more round marks, you know, where you've put your coffee mug down and you've got a round stain on the bottom. So I've pulled out my old gel plate that is stained and that I use for things like this, and I have got, this is a distress stain in Victorian velvet, so which is a brown kind of colour. So what I'm going to do is to put some of this, got a bit of this stain on here like this. Now I've got to be honest and go, I don't know whether this is going to work, so we'll see. I've got my coffee mug, my nice Tui coffee mug here, and I'm going to dip that in. Okay, let's see what happens. Ooh, could potentially work. Now my other slight reservation is that I have covered this serviette or napkin in Mod Podge, and I'm just hoping, oh look, we've got a drip on there as well, that's okay. I'm just hoping that the distress stain will take on that surface and not just wipe off. Right, so I think what I need to do, let's keep those out of the way, is to actually pop my hairdryer on here and dry these off, and we'll see if that's going to work. Okay, that's actually taken quite a bit to get those to dry, but they have dried. They look quite shiny still, but they are dry. And so we've got some nice coffee mug rings on here now. They show up slightly better on this one, but that, you know, because of the pattern on here, but you can see them here and here and here. So I'm going to flip these envelopes over, and I'm going to do the same on the other side, and you can see we've already started to get a little bit of kind of coffee staining look on the back here, from what we were doing on the front. Whilst those are drying off thoroughly, I have cut one of those pieces of coffee stained paper to work as an insert, but I've also got this sort of antique book page here, and I'm going to put a little bit more of that same distress stain in Victorian velvet on my gel plate, and I'm just going to put the antique book page on like that and pick some of that stain up, and there again that's giving quite a nice sort of coffee stained effect. Right, so these are going to be inserts inside the envelopes behind the windows. Okay, so these two are thoroughly dry. As I say, those coffee rings show up better on this one, but you can see them on here. There's a couple on the back here, and that one goes over onto the lining. This one, and there's the back. Now, I deliberately haven't put anything here, and you'll see why in a moment. Now, what I also did whilst those were drying is that I did exactly the same process to these other two envelopes. And again, you can see that the coffee stain, it's there if you look. It's not overly obvious, but it does leave another sort of layer of detail. It's come up quite well on this one. All right. So we've now got our 4 envelopes to the same stage, and this one I want to try these 2 different inserts. So we've got that one, and we've got this one. We turn that round, we get more of that coffee staining in there. I think I prefer this one. Now, the reason I've only cut a short insert for this one is that, as you'll see, there's a fold line here, and I'm going to fold this up and make this into a floating pocket. So what we're going to have is a pocket here, and then when we turn over, there'll be a pocket on the back here as well. All right, so I've also got this one, which needs an insert, but at the moment this doesn't have an opening, so I want to think about which way up this is going to be, and I think I'm going to make the opening at the top here. So let me sit down a minute. I'm literally just going to take my scissors. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to snip the tiniest, oh, might need to be a little bit more than that, a couple of mils across the top there, and that gives us our opening for our pocket. Now, whilst I remember, I'm also going to take a circle punch and just eyeballing, I'm going to cut like that. Okay, now this is a little bit wide, so let's trim this down to fit in here. Okay, there we go. And this one, of course, will be glued together like this. And I need to think about whether I want to put an insert in there or not. So I'll think about that one for a moment. Whilst I'm thinking about it, I'm going to glue these inserts in, so that as we're taking things in and out of these pockets, the inserts are not going to move. Alright, so as you can see, some of that was a little bit of a struggle to get the lining in and get it flat. Now, it is an incredibly hot day here today, and my Mod Podge is drying. I'm just going to put my brush in water. My Mod Podge is drying incredibly quickly. But anyway, we have done them. So, and it obviously was much easier with this one that wasn't already folded up. This one, because it's on card, I decided not to fix it in, because actually, if this is going to be a pocket, you could put things either side of that insert. So it's almost like a double pocket. And I think to that end, I'm actually going to put a little what do you call it, circle thing in there. I'll just grab my thing and ink that bit again, and that way there's sort of two tuck pocket spaces in there, if you like. Now, the other thing I am thinking about with these two is what to do with this bit. And I think right now I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to see when it goes into my journal what I do with it, because one of the things I did think with these is that if you fold this flat back like this, you can attach this to your journal page. So if we imagine for a moment, this is our journal page, glue this down, and then you have a kind of a flip pocket in your journal. So I'm not actually going to do anything with those inside flaps at the moment, but we will decorate some of the outside. Okay, so these ones, as you saw, they've been glued down, and I've glued them to the back so that when you slide things in there, you can still see through the window to some extent. All right, before I do anything else with this one, I want to work on this pocket. I also want to do something with this edge, because as it is looking a little bit, I don't know, I'm not happy. It's not sort of the finished look that I want. So I'm going to think about what to do with that. And I am going to think about how to fix this down. Okay, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to glue this pocket. So I've got some quite reasonably strong glue here. It's just splurged all down the edge, so I'm going to just take that like that. There we go. And as I say, it is very warm today, but I am just going to put a peg on those sides just for a minute, because I want to get a nice firm seal there. Oh, sounds like we've got a jet boat going past on the river. Okay, now I think I'm going to washi tape this edge. But before I do, I want to think about how I'm going to decorate here. So let's have a look. I've got these things that came in my swap box. I'm rather liking this frame, and I think if I really position that carefully, I could just about get that over that window there. So let's ink the edge of this and then see how we go. Do you ever have those days when you kind of constantly question and doubt what you're doing as you're creating? I'm having one of those today. Anyway, I think the front of this is fine. We've got these two lovely ladies here, and I think they're probably maybe sisters or best friends. So we've got the word aroha, which is love, and a heart, and you make my heart smile. Now, so we've got a nice pocket here, and we will get a glimpse of whatever goes in there through the window. And when we turn over, we've got this larger pocket at the back. And what I've realised is that one of the postcards I made last week actually goes in here really nicely. And this is Rose Manor, and I think this, you know, could be the home of one of these ladies, or even both of them. Could be the family home. So that's going to go in there, and I want to decorate this pocket. So I've pulled out a few bits and pieces that are rose themed, and I'm going to do something on here with these. Do you know what, guys? I'm done for the day today. It's about 40 degrees here this afternoon. and my little my little creative space craft room is becoming unbearably warm. So I'm going to call it a day for today. And you know, that's the great thing about compartmental making. What I've done today is I've started off, we have altered the envelopes, we have added some coffee mug stains, and one of them we've decorated up as a floating pocket with one of our postcards from last week, and that is ready to pop into a journal. The other ones, as I say, we've got to the pocket stage, if you like, so that's definitely a pocket, and these two could be flip outs, you know, like this, or they could be attached in as pockets. So they will be ready to go into the journal when we make it. And of course this one, we have a pocket here, and as well as the pocket on the back. But for now, I'm a little bit warm. My brain is adult, so I'm going to say until next time, thank you very much for watching. Ka kite anō.